I started to really learn the legal system. And I also did that, and I'll be quite honest, I did it to protect myself. And in that process, I realized that there were some injustices that were happening within the UCMJ and within the administrative system. And anyone who's been caught in it, anyone who's been under investigation knows that the investigation is the punishment, not the outcome. And so I wanted to give veterans, and active duty especially, a voice to talk about these issues and to feel seen, heard, and valued. Even if it might not change the trajectory of their case, they at least know that they had a chance to get their side of the story out there.
Thank you for that. And so this kind of leads me to my next question. I imagine that taking on some of these conversations, you face some criticism from the public and from your own branch of service, from fellow veterans. And tell folks like how you navigate that. First, do you experience it, and how do you navigate it?
I don't always get it right. I want to say that. Like, I own it when I get it wrong, and every time I point the finger at something, I want that same finger pointed right back at me. Call me out. Throw something on your Facebook page about the fact that I did something, because I want those conversations out in the open, and I want people to have a chance to respond. The problem that we're having, and we'll probably go into this in the next question, but in this divisive culture, we're not creating spaces where people can have respectful conversations about issues that need to change. We are going on social media and we're swiping at one another, and then whoever voices the loudest gets to have the final word and gets to win. And I just don't think that's productive. I think what would be more productive is if in forums like this, people asked hard questions, and in real time, people had to think on their feet and answer those questions. But instead, we're afraid. We're afraid to talk about politics or religion. And I think that's unfortunate, because that's denying people the opportunity to fully discuss the things that are important to them and the things that they feel strongly about and why.
So I was going to ask that. So, like, what is your advice for folks who are a bit apprehensive or afraid about, kind of taking that step outside the box and having those conversations? What advice do you give to the folks who are afraid?
I think you got to lean into your fear. Every time you're afraid of something, think about it as excitement. Think about it like you're over target, like you're onto something because you're afraid. Whenever I've been afraid of something, whether it be my husband teaching me how to ski, or whether it be calling out service members for disrespectful speech online, it makes me realize that I'm on target, that something is going on in my community that I need to be a voice of. Or with my husband, something's going on that I'm so scared of sports, or I'm so scared to do something, or play pickleball and have people see me not to be so great at it. There's something there that I need to lean into, and so my advice is to just go for it, because you only live once, and this is what we have to live with the rest of our lives doing, and we need to figure out ways to challenge ourselves, because that's what keeps life spicy.
Awesome. Can you tell me a couple of your favorite podcasts, the subject matters that you're covering? And you don't have to say mine, obviously, but folks who are here in the audience or folks that are listening online,
okay.
Which ones should we tune into, and what are you really enjoying covering right now?
Okay, so I will admittedly tell you guys that I lean a little right of center, but it doesn't mean that I don't love those voices on the left. I have friends who are on both sides of the aisle, and I try my best to unite when I can, but I still want to be able to express my point of view. So if I recommend podcasts, I do apologize. They're probably going to be ones that are a little more right of center, but they're the ones who've really taught me how to use my voice. And the two that I love on the female side are Megyn Kelly and Candace Owen. They're taking on really hard questions. They're investigating things. They're so on point with their tech and everything. And then, of course, I love Sean Ryan. He's a veteran himself, a former Navy SEAL, CIA contractor. And he's out there putting himself in the line of fire and doing a lot of things that, quite frankly, will threaten his safety. And he really inspires me, because I'm in a program right now for veterans who'd like to run for office, and there's always the joke, will you run for office, Teresa? And number one, I've got a lot of mental health issues, so I'm not sure I'd be so great in office. But then number two, I'm afraid for my safety too. And so I think that's, again, what we talked about. You got to lean into those fears.
What do you enjoy most about podcasting and having your podcast? I know you're very passionate about it.
I enjoy the people I get to meet, like you, Mandy. I don't think we'd be as good of friends as we are now if we hadn't had those moments to deep dive about your very, very unfortunate case with toxic exposure at Red Hill. And so if we hadn't had those opportunities to really deep dive into those conversations, I wouldn't be so educated as I am now on those issues. So I feel like my nerd brain just comes out with my why, because I'm like, oh man, I really want to know, like, why did this false accusation happen? What happened? What motion to block certain evidence didn't make it into the court martial? Like, I find that stuff really, really fascinating. And so I think as I go forward, that's just the kinds of things that I'll just keep doing. Is if I'm interested in something, then I'm like, I want to cover it in my podcast. I want to know why there's a law about veteran discrimination. I mean, 23 laws. I mean, 23 things in New Jersey that will block, give people preference, but they won't give it to veterans. Why? And do we need to give preference at all? And there's just so many interesting questions that I think we have to explore in this process.
I want to transition, if we can, unless there's anything else you want to say about the podcast.
No.
Which is lovely. Please check it out. Stories for Service. Stories of Service. Sorry,
Thank
yeah. Other things that we've done together, especially recently in this past year, is community advocacy. Can you talk about what you've been doing in the community and the role and why community advocacy is so important?
Yeah, so I think that community advocacy starts wherever you are. It can be at the local level. I recently dug into the issue of eminent domain and parts of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, that were taking people's homes or threatening to put them on a blighted list without any prior permission. And I thought, well, that's not right. I mean, now these people who didn't even know their home was considered a slum cannot argue about it, and that's going to be grounds for maybe taking their home away someday. So get involved in those kinds of issues, even if it's not your home. That still impacts your fellow neighbors. And so that's where you can get involved. I got involved at the Department of War level. I was one of, I think, 3 or 4 females who supported Pete Hegseth for becoming the Secretary of Defense, and that was a very controversial decision, but one that I'm still to this day quite proud of. And I mean, we got to go to a Senate confirmation hearing. Never in my million years did I think I'd ever do that. And I mean, it just continues. I mean, I've seen friends of mine go to marches locally just the other day. So there's so many ways to get involved. And I think that when you are a member of your community, that's just part of giving back and being a service.
Yeah, and for those who are interested in getting involved, what advice do you have for them as far as, I mean, I know that some folks are apprehensive to do so because, they're still in the military or, we're supposed to remain apolitical. How do you navigate that?
I will tell you that is a huge challenge. And I don't know if the Department of War has really tightened up their policies on political advocacy. And I believe that sometimes people are really confused about what they can and can't do. And I think that's unfortunate. And I think, sadly, it sometimes comes down to who your alliances are and which friends you have, and it shouldn't be that way. So I really hope in the future that we talk more about this, and we talk more about what people can advocate for, how they can advocate for it. I mean, there's basic rules like not wearing your uniform and having a disclaimer, which, by the way, I forgot while I was at the press conference for Pete Hegseth, and I definitely paid a consequence for that. So I think that there's definitely ways that we can make sure that we're just doing things with our JAG, with our PAO. I tried my best to always tell my chain of command everything I was doing, whether that be starting a podcast, whether that be going to the Hegseth confirmation hearing or participating in a march. I was always letting them know every step of the way what I was doing.
Yeah, I think it's important too. We've both found ourselves in this position to make sure that you understand what the public affairs, rules are and what policy says. And if you have a question, make sure you take leave. We both have taken leave.
Be on leave, be in civilian clothes.
Represent yourself in your,
unofficial, off-duty capacity.
Yes, all of those things. Awesome. So where are you at now? So you said that you have retired. What is next for Teresa Carpenter? What are you working on?
So I am in the University of San Francisco with our master's in public leadership, and it is designed to help veterans run for office. It is a fascinating program. I'm learning so much through it, and I highly recommend it. So you can look it up, Master's in Public Leadership. The guy that runs it, Seth, he's amazing. Maddie, the program coordinator, she's great too. So I'm doing that. I'm still continuing the podcast. I joined the VFW, I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I joined the Harrison County Republicans organization. So I think I'm probably overjoining at this point, and I think as veterans, it's like, oh my gosh, we finally have time to do all the things that we wish we'd been doing. So I think going forward, it's just figuring out what I want to do next.
Okay, that sounds awesome. I did have one final question, then I want to open it up to folks in the audience that may have some questions as well. But what is one thing, or what's one thing we haven't covered, or one piece of advice that you have for the audience, and then one, like the most important thing that you want folks to take home from our conversation today?
I think my one piece of advice would be that courage is a muscle. It's not something that like happens overnight, and do it in baby steps. Like maybe your first thing you do is just put out a Facebook post about how you feel about a particular issue, or maybe your first thing that you do is you go to a small group meeting and share your story. But I think it's important to do it in a way where you're just baby stepping it like everything else. Because if you try to do something right away, you might go across your skis too much and get slapped down. And that's happened to me plenty of times. So I think that's like the best advice that I could give people.
Thank you so much, Teresa. We'll take a few questions from the audience. We have a few more minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
I've been following you. I also have a live stream called Shiro Coffee Chat, and I just interviewed someone that's on the committee for the House, the HR numbers and things like that. And I want to encourage you, because you said you're a part of the VFW. You got to get in politics. I've been following you, and I've seen your courage, and I'm looking at everything you do. It's such an inspiration, and I know the VFW does have like.
They have a legislative program.
That's it.
Actually, I learned about it when I went to Columbus, Ohio,
okay, good,
and I was at their national convention,
yeah.
And I already my SkillBridge boss did it. So I was there and I was writing him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I did the Legislative Fellows program." Yeah. So
I definitely
will look into it.
encourage you to continue on the political route.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions from the audience? Okie dokie. Well, Teresa, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to do this with you. And anything else you'd like to add?
Well, thank you for all those who joined. I know that you have a lot of other events and a lot of other things that are going on around MIC to compete with your time. So it is a blessing. I don't care if it's one person or if it's 50 people. It's a real blessing when anybody takes the time to listen to another speak. It's really an act of service and a gift. So I just want to thank all of you for taking that time today. And I hope I see you around as we walk around and go to other events and be a part of this amazing community of veterans and maybe one day more active duty. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa. All right, and we're going to pass things over to Travis, looks like.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Thank you, Teresa. Very spirited talk.
Thank you.
Hand that off to Mike, would you? Oh, hand that over to Mike. Coming up on the stage is my friend Mike Foster, and we're friends because we met, last night. Mike, grab a seat.
Hey.
I know you've been walking around, working busy all day.
Yeah, seriously.
You're from SavvyVest, the Strategic Alliance for Veteran Integration. Look at that, memorized it in like 3 seconds. It's exciting. We found out we're going to do this interview 4 minutes ago.
Yep.
Very exciting. But we've been friends for almost 24 hours now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it should be, since the event. So it should be pretty easy to get this thing up and rolling.
100%.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Savvy and what you guys do.
Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Mike. Thanks again, guys, for having me. Savvy is an incredible organization. We help veterans that are transitioning from service, right, is the short of it. And it's such an important mission. I'm actually an alum of the program and then came back to help.
You're an alum.
Yeah.
I'm an alum.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Right? And it's and it's great because when you're transitioning from service, you don't necessarily have that full picture of what that next chapter in your life is going to look like. And what I've fallen in love with the organization, that's helped both of us here is, mentorship, right? Kind of that holding hand to say, okay, what does that next chapter in your life look like? What do you want it to look like? And what do you need in order to thrive, right? So whether it's entrepreneurship, which is the track that, we've gone through, whether it's employment or education, we help find veterans that tailored benefits that they're looking for, that they need in order to thrive. Federal, state, benefits that they're eligible for, compensation, and everything's free, right? We don't charge veterans for it because why? Why should they have to pay for the benefits that they've already earned and deserve? I think that's one of the things that separates us from most of the other organizations there. We don't really focus on representation. We just focus on educating people on what's out there, getting through some of that confusion because of the lack of focus on the transition while they're in the uniform.
Well, I mean, there's just so many good resources out there, right? I retired 3 years ago, and when you go to look at, what civilian life looks like or could look like and what's available to you, there's just so much out there. It's so hard to navigate, to know, where should I spend my time? Should I be spending time on state programs? Is there programs I'd never heard of? What are some of the programs that people just are unfamiliar with?
Oh man, there's plenty, right? But I used to start with something as basic as the GI Bill, right? So GI Bill, they don't realize it's not just education, it's also your VA loan. And it's an amazing benefit to be able to buy a house where most people think, okay, I'm going to buy my forever home, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be a home that you want to build, into something that you can turn into a rental property on the back end, right? And start building your financial future after you move from whatever duty station you're in now to back home or to your next duty station or whatever, right? You can even start that process before you transition. The GI Bill is not the only educational benefit you have out there. There's the Yellow Ribbon program, right? Which adds an additional scholarship to maybe things that the GI Bill won't cover for you if you have a more advanced program. So there's so many things out there, man, that you can take advantage of, and a lot of people don't realize it because they're not asking the question, right? They're just not thinking about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you've got things like VR&E that you can use. Yep. And I didn't know this. I had a friend in Oklahoma went through and got his PhD, and he used federal student loans to do so. But because of the TEACH Act and that he was 100% disabled, as soon as he graduated, they discharged his loans. So he paid $0
to get a doctorate.
I don't know what kind of doctorate I'm going to get, but I know that when I do get one, it's free. So I went to the University of Oklahoma for my undergrad, my graduate stuff, and I found out I've been in podcasting for a number of years. I can actually go get a communications doctorate, and I can specialize in podcasting. So I could be Dr. Podcast for $0.
Run it.
Yeah.
That's an awesome title. You should definitely make that
I'm gonna get a stethoscope. I'm gonna walk around. I'm not gonna help anybody, but I'm gonna have the stethoscope.
It'll have a little microphone at the end of it.
Yes. It'll be AirPods right at the top,
Yep.
and a little microphone at the bottom.
Love it. That's it. That's a thing, guys. That's going to happen.
It's a real thing.
That's it.
Right down today. I don't know what today is, the 19th. No, it's not the 19th. 22nd. It's right there on the slide.
Boom.
It's the 22nd. I don't know if you knew that, but it's written right over there.
Run it, man. I can't wait.
So when I went through the program, Adrienne helped walk me through all the specifics. And here she is, the one, the only. She loves attention, so everyone can look at.
That's it.
Everyone can look at Adrienne.
On stage. We got another chair. Our fearless leader, everyone, Adrienne Phillips.
The fearless leader,
Adrienne Phillips.
Did you get a free doctorate? Hello. We were just talking a little bit about the Savvy program. We were joking about free doctorate programs using the TEACH Act to discharge loans. What are some of the other unknown benefits that when you talk to veterans or soon-to-be veterans, they're like, I had no idea this existed?
There's so many. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. Like if you're in a career, if you have a business, family needs, there's so many resources that are available that we just don't know about. Education-wise, there's the Total Permanent Discharge Program, which is a waiver of loans as well, so you can apply for that if you're 100% permanent in total. Bunker Labs, which is now with IVMF.
IVMF, nailed it.
Thank you.
First try.
Their business program is absolutely incredible. SBA has a lot of resources. Veterans Outreach Center, which is located across the United States. You can access independent programs, independent courses, everything from government contracting to social media marketing. it's pretty extensive. So there's a lot that's out there.
It sounds like a lot. I mean,
It is a lot.
is the average veteran like, expected to know and understand all these things that exist?
No, just joking. Of course not. We all have a question about our benefits. I mean, we're all equally confused about what's available and what's out there. And it's changing constantly. New organizations are popping up. You obviously have like your government programs, but then nonprofit, state programs, county programs. I mean, the list is just endless. So
It is, and I'm really thankful not only to you for helping, guys like me navigate that sea of uncertainty, but really want to acknowledge all the people that went before us and did the work, that did the legislative work to go out and get programs and get benefits. I don't know if anyone listening knows like the origin of red tape.
yeah.
But when World War I veterans got back, in order to get their benefits, they had to go to Washington, D.C. to get their benefits, and everything they got was wrapped up in red tape, and it took forever to get it done. So the terrible as red tape it's because of veterans that red tape is not only a thing, but we've gone past it.
Right. I'd love for Mike, if you're okay with that, to share a little bit about his transition.
So, my transition was not the smoothest, I'd say, right? I mean, I'm sure it's a common story for everyone, but I would say it was helped because I had a purpose that I'd kind of fallen into building, this online company, teaching veterans how to invest, and it was a kind of a mission I had adopted. And I think that's one of the things that you lack mostly when you're transitioning. It's a mission, right? You're so focused on the mission, serving the country, abroad, at home, whatever, right? And then you hang up the uniform and it's like, okay, well, what's my mission now? Right? What's my purpose for, getting up and going to work on time, right? In the right uniform and whatever. For me, I had a little bit of a mission for a while until I transitioned from that company. And then I went through another internal crisis, right? And so it's like, what do you do? One of the things that I feel like, and it should be said, right? To kind of help those veterans that are on the cusp of transition have that mind frame of thinking about it is, what are you going to do day one when your paycheck stops coming? Right? Because after you transition, like, what are you going to do for money? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to start a business? That question alone, I feel like, can get people in the right direction towards, thinking about what their transition is actually going to look like. And can save a lot of people, save a lot of people's life. I mean, Adrienne has an amazing story about how she was almost on the brink of homelessness, right? Not thinking about how.
Neither one of these people want to speak. They both want to share the other person's story, which is very magnanimous of them. So, like my transition story, I did all the work. We did all the appointments. We set everything up. And then I found out my wife needed to have brain surgery. And then I found out that my wife's grandmother died. And then, oh yeah, by the way, in the same week, my daughter wanted to get married. Oh, and it was the same week I retired. And I had done the Skill Bridge program, and I had everything set up. I was all excited, and my first day of retirement, I was like, hey, where's that job offer? And they were like, best we can do, $7.50 an hour for 20 hours a week. I said, you all can't see the faces of the people in the audience, just this foul-looking face. So we drive the 13 hours to the funeral. We're on the way home. My wife decided to stay and help Grandpa with the farm. They've been continually occupying that farmhouse for 130 years. There was no way that we were going to tunnel out of that thing in a couple of days. Right. But I'm driving back with my son. My daughter's now off and married. And I called my company. I was like, so, hey, what's the deal? I was like, well, we tried to acquire another company, and the deal fell through. I can't give you $10, let alone $10 an hour. And just distraught, driving back with my son. He's like 14. He's like, I don't know any problems in this world. And I get home, and fortunately for me, there's this big stack of mail, but a big manila envelope from the VA saying I had 90%, and I was going to get paid like 15 days later. So I had a big sigh of relief, and it looked like this, just, oh man, just terrible. And then I got a letter like 2 weeks later that said my retirement pay, fortunately for me as retiring, was going to kick in May 1st. So I had something coming in. We had a good plan. I had like 50 grand in the bank, but that feels like freak out time. Like, do you have any freak out stories you want to share from any of your clients?
No. No, I like to respect people's privacy, but I think we can all relate to just that unknown, that anxiety of like the what comes next, right? When you're in the military, you know exactly where to go, what to wear, when to be there. It's very clear cut and straightforward. The civilian sector is not like that. It is the wild, wild west, and although it sounds like endless opportunities and possibilities, for a military member, that's extremely overwhelming, right? Like, that sounds great in theory, but where do I actually go? We don't want to make the wrong choice, right? So it is a challenge to just know, even though I may have a plan, life is still lifing. Life doesn't care that you're transitioning out of the military. Your parents, your children, your whoever it is, right? They still have things going on that impact you. And your transition absolutely impacts your family. You know, no veteran transitions alone. Even if they're unmarried, no children, their community, their neighbors, whoever's around them. An ill-transitioned veteran is a problem for anybody that veteran touches. So it's so important for us to have as much clarity as reasonably possible, have some kind of rough plan, but really rely on support. Get educated about what's available to you. One of the main reasons why I started Savvy was because I got so tired of meeting veterans that were in crisis, homeless, drug dependent, alcohol dependency, suicide, and never had their basic eligibilities established. We're having to backtrack now. We got to get you connected to the VA. We got to get you some healthcare access. We got to get your disability coming in, because you don't need it until you need it, right? And that's the thing. None of us as veterans want to ask for help. We think that we got it, right? Oh, I don't have a lost limb, or I don't have, nothing severe like that as what we quantify as severe. But to me, it's like, it's not a pot that you're taking from and shorting somebody else. Your eligibility, your entitlements are yours. Nobody's going to get shorted because you get it granted. So please don't wait until you're in a crisis situation to start asking questions about what I'm eligible for. Because who knows, you could have avoided that crisis, or at least softened the blow if that 90% was coming in, right? Or if, even if it's 10%, it is a tax-free benefit, and that is only one of 600,000 different resources that are available to you. That is not a made-up number, I promise. So it's a lot that's available. So,
and she takes you through every one of those 600,000 resources.
That is not true. We do not do that. The main focus is really federal benefits, so all things VA as well as DoD benefits for retirees, because that's really the main eligibility for most of us. Not all of us, but most of us. All of the other nuances is really contingent on what's the need. Family, business, employment, etc. Those are all very specific, resources. But from a federal perspective, burial benefits, healthcare access, disability compensation, GI Bill, VA home loan, these are all things that most of us are eligible for. $435,000 on average a veteran has access to resource entitlement. We're not talking about $10, $435,000 on average. I live in the state of California. Mike has the unfortunate pleasure of living in the state of Hawaii, where things are very expensive, right? So that number goes up because your eligibility for home loans and things like that, cost of living goes up. So
it's one of the benefits about being in Oklahoma is it's one of the cheapest places in the country. I don't know if you all know
Sounds
this,
good.
but my 3-bedroom home is like $1,300 a month.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then because I'm now 100%, the state doesn't tax my retirement pay. Mm-hmm. We get the VA. I don't pay property tax.
Yeah, that's nice.
I don't pay sales tax.
I
just vote yes on all new taxes because I don't ever have to pay them.
Right.
You want that new thing? I would love for somebody else to pay for that new thing for me. That's what I would love. Do you find that people actually move states to get certain benefits when they transition?
Absolutely. When there is a need, especially a family need or something, if there's a specific, access to health care or a specialty program that's only offered in that state, I've seen people move mountains just to be able to get that access. So absolutely. I think that none of us are strangers to the fact that certain states are a little more veteran-friendly than others, right? Some of them have property tax exemptions and, low cost of living, things like that. So absolutely, if that's what's important to you, depending on where you're at, you want to be able to buy a home,
You want to be able to have acres of land. You need access for brain surgery for your spouse. Things like that will motivate us to really consider where we're living. So absolutely, people do move for benefits.
I'm glad you brought back up the brain surgery. So we were under TRICARE still, and we had to go, because Oklahoma doesn't have a specialist for Chiari malformation. We had to fly to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore to get it done.
Yep.
And TRICARE covered everything and reimbursed us for travel and incidentals for the whole thing, which was just amazing. This was like the month I was getting out of the Navy, and I was losing, if you remember, I was losing it.
Yeah.
See it. It was not a fun time for me.
Well, unknowns are not fun for anybody, right? We all want to feel like we have our feet on the ground, especially when big things are happening, and transition out of the military is a pretty big deal, right? We're not going from McDonald's to Burger King, so it's a big deal.
I can't tell you just how secure I felt in the plan that we made. Like, this thing is bulletproof. Nothing could happen to me. Everything's going to be wonderful. And it is eventually, because things, they just tend to pop up. They tend to pop up.
I was going to say that I always tell specifically retirees, like, you will always be more ready than the rest of the world, because you're planning your retirement sometimes years in advance. You know it's coming. The rest of the world doesn't know it's coming. They don't care, right? So life is still lifing. So I think it's really important to just understand that transition is not a day. It's not like today's the day I'm out, I'm officially a veteran, everything is good to go. Average is 6 years that it takes for a veteran to feel like they've properly transitioned out of the military. So give yourself some grace.
I am in dead center of that. I'm 3 years out from my retirement. Feel like I've got my life together, whatever that means. I don't know if there's some kind of civilian dictionary that lets me know if that's okay or not, but there's still challenges. And when we have those relationships that we build, when we go to the conferences like this and we connect with people like Mike over here, that's going to help us through any of those bumps, any of those waves that are coming in. And really, I found that loneliness and isolation is probably the worst out of all the options. I'm not a Mr. Fix-It guy around the house. I can fix cars, but not house stuff. I think it's weird. But like when something happens, like I've got my go-to person. I ask, like, hey, do you know how to do this thing? He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to come do it. I'd love to help you out. But for some reason, when it's us that needs a little fixing, we stop asking. We stop reaching out. We stop looking to the person on our left and our right for the help that they're very much willing to give. And it's not that big a deal, because when we share our stories, it gives people permission to share their stories. And that's one of the great things that I think about Savvy. What other, I know you guys mentioned last night on our offsite amazing event that we had that you have a new initiative coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a new pilot program that's launching called Transition 2.0. Essentially, the number one piece of feedback that we got is, man, I wish Savvy was around when I was getting out, because I have a lot of questions. So we took that feedback and we listened, and we took our flagship program, which is 12 months for actively transitioning military. They had to be 12 months pre-separation to 12 months post-separation, anywhere in that window. That's a 12-month program. We consolidated it down to 6 months, and you have to essentially be out for longer than a year. However long that is, as long as it's longer than a year, then you're good. And we are going to be launching it in January. It is completely online. It is completely free. And it is going to be a cohort model, so you will be with fellow vets that, have questions about their eligibility. Even if you don't, come anyways, because we fundamentally don't know what we don't know. So we're here to, again, provide that same basis of education on federal benefits, same access to resources for employment, education, retirement, and entrepreneurship. If you have any of those 4 categories, which most of us do, you definitely want to, get access and just see, what am I not taking advantage of right now? And it's free.
If it's free, it's for me.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Mike, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about?
Do I have anything coming up?
Yeah, we care about you.
You care about me? Oh, well, I'm part of Savvy, man. Transition 2.0. That's it.
That's it. Nothing else on the horizon?
Oh, nothing else, man. Honestly, we got our work cut out for us. I think the biggest thing that, my focus is trying to build more awareness around the program and also get more funding. You know, I mean, if I can go into that, because that's the biggest thing. I mean, we're serving 200,000 veterans that are transitioning from service every single year. And, you know, to go through our program, it's free for them, but it has a cost to us, right? And that cost is about $500 per year per veteran. And right now, we have a very strong need for transition coaches to serve the demand of veterans that we get coming to our program every single year. We just do not have the bandwidth to be able to help support the amount of veterans that, you know, are coming in. And so I think that's one of the biggest ways anyone watching this, or anyone who's likes a mission and feels called to help and support, is to help us out with that. You know, that alone will be able to help, you know, whatever whatever veteran is in your network, or you know is getting ready to transition soon, could possibly help that person out. So maybe thinking about them and helping support us so we can help support them.
So if someone watching this wants to support Savvy Vets, how do they get in touch with you?
SavvyVets.org. Just go take a look at our website. We just revamped it as well. So, you know, connect us through there, subscribe, get into our community, and, you know, donate. I mean, that really, really would help us out tremendously. And again, helping serve that 200,000 veterans that are transitioning every year.
Oh, that is fantastic. Adrian, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up for the day?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of this experience. And thank you for your service if you served. And if you're a family member, thank you for supporting.
Adrian, Mike, thank you both so very much. We're going to kick it over to myself and Jamie over on the side stage.
Travis, thank you so much. Big hand for everyone coming off the stage. All right. Well, before we wrap on the end of the day, we're going to hear from Travis one more time. Travis, how you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. Day one in the books. Had a lot of good sessions today. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but Simona's talk, there was not an empty seat. There was standing room only. It was a packed house in here, and all because she wants to help people do better at YouTube.
Well, I mean, that is why we're here. What was you got any favorite moments of the day?
Favorite moments of the day? I don't know if you saw this earlier, but we had Riley, Rebecca, and Joel on, and they were really bearing their hearts and talking about family and togetherness. And I don't think we do that as much as veterans as we should. I think relationship struggles are a big problem or a big thing in the veteran world, and it seems that when we have problems or something of that nature that we feel is kind of private, like we don't tell anybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, we come from a community where, unfortunately, when you're active duty, vulnerability isn't rewarded; it's punished. And a lot of us get out of the service afraid to talk about things that hurt. And yeah, these guys opening up the door for that kind of dialogue is incredibly important.
Tell me, what was one of your favorite parts about today?
Oh man, Sean had some amazing points in his speech. They resonated with me because they spoke to what we're doing at Parade Deck right now. Yeah. You know, with us drilling into some really interesting and progressive ideas for getting young creators up and off the ground and monetized and getting their name out there and amplifying their voice. Man, a lot of what he said rang true, and reflected a lot of reflected a lot of the thought that we're putting into that kind of work.
I think so. I know here at Parade Deck we're trying to amplify verified military and veteran voices, and like we have a stage. We come to you. We live stream your events. We host podcasters. We have the Veteran Podcast Awards coming up, and October 5th is quickly approaching. I'm excited for that.
Me too. Hey, who's hosting that again?
This guy and former Veteran Podcast of the Year winner Josh White has agreed to come on board. We're going to have this fun banter. We're going to talk about some podcasters. There's so many veterans doing great things in the podcasting space. We thought it would be a crime to not, give them some love, get some promotion, give them some highlights.
I love it. Anything else you want to add before we say goodnight?
I did want to, a little shout out. Follow us on social media. Catch these live streams. Share it out so other people can find it. We have places like the VFW that we've partnered with where you can actually get an Apple TV unit at your local VFW, which is just an amazing thing. help spread the word. There's people that need these talks, that need these affirmations, that need to know that people in the veteran space are doing great things, and what better way to find them than Parade Deck?
Absolutely. We got a huge day tomorrow. We got a huge day on Wednesday, so make sure you come out, make sure you watch that, make sure you're tuning into the live stream. If it's good, it happens on the Parade Deck.
I can't say anything after that. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Take care.